Hi everyone. This is Mohit here from founder of UnoMock and host of the podcast Master of Sales. Today we have Swaroop Kishan with us. And Swaroop, I'd like to start with you where you can throw some light on your journey and the company you're working at.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for the introduction, Mohit. Hi all, good evening, very good evening to everybody. Myself, Suru. I claim myself to be one of the sales leaders. My journey towards sales, it's a fantastic thing. One of the major problems that we face with respect to our education industry as such is there is no awareness. There is no awareness as to where we lead, what kind of a corporate job or domain they can pursue, right? Something very similar happened to me as well, right? I started back in 2009. I, typically for the position that I have right now as the national head of sales for one of the cybersecurity startups, and then I myself run another company where I'm running it for the last 7.5 years, and being an entrepreneur is fantastic as well. Um, at this position, people getting at about 10, 11, 12 years of experience is very, very uncommon in India, or lately it has started picking up because of the startup and unicorn and all these stuffs, right? So back in those days when I started with my first organization, L&T, I started with the domain of procurement. Actually, it was not typically sales. I had no idea what I'm starting with. The funny fact about it was I always thought when I got my offer letter and joining letter and all that, I am going to work in the IT industry, because that is what we were hearing, software development, testing, etc., etc. And then when I got in and then I started my role of procurement, it was fantastic journey. I learned a lot with my seniors and one of my mentors being my manager and all that. During that time, about a year and a half since I passed in L&T, what happened was I met a person who was the VP of sales of a vendor organization, where we go ahead and meet these people on a day-to-day basis, or on a frequent note, right? And then I was serving my notice period with L&T that time, and his name's Jairam. So I was speaking him, sir. I am shifting to ITC right now, ITC Infotech. I'll be working with the US client, that this and all. I'm very happy with the procurement. I want to do an MBA in that. And I started my MBA also in that and all that. And he gave me a very, very nice piece of advice, because he was heading operations that time as the CEO of operations. And he told me, Swaroop, see, understand one thing, you are pretty new in your career. It's been about approximately, let's say, about a year and a half since you started. You don't even know what is the bubble outside, what is that you can see in the world. But I strongly suggest to explore more options, because sales is something that I feel you can do very well. I said, okay, I never thought of sales, because there is a social stigma behind sales. Now, people think it's door to door, knocking, that, this, etc., etc. I said, okay. I took it very light, to be very honest. I mean, I joined into procurement, but then in the first 3 months, I was given an assignment of business development, which is again a fancy word for sales. I mean, I would say that more or less it's the same, right? Slight differences, but nothing major. I started working on that, and I started enjoying it a lot, right? I started enjoying it. I made some amazing acquisitions during my tenure in ITC. And then during that time, I was working with GE US. And then subsequently, I shifted to semiconductor industry. A lot of changes happened, the first 3, 4, 5 years of my career. And then one day I said, okay, I see a lot of people struggling in sales, right? So I need to do something that would encourage people, or rather, for people who don't have that kind of an expertise in sales, can come to a company, come to a person, come to a team who can give that solution. Now, today we all know about SaaS. software as a solution, and there is product as a solution. There are multiple XaaS is what the industry is known for, right? So of course, back then there was no acronym like that, but my whole agenda was I started my company as sales as a solution, sales as a service, right? And then sales or marketing as a service. That was the whole agenda behind the company, and we did fantastically well. Have multiple offices across India, and then we cater to global clients and everything on one aspect. On the other aspect, I recently started off with another startup as a national sales head, which is into cybersec domain. In between, during these 10 years of my life, one of the things that I understood very much was salesperson, a lot of quotes come in saying, salesperson is born, not made. I feel that is absolutely not acceptable. It's not right. People don't have exposure, and the moment they start getting that kind of an exposure, we'll have brilliant salespeople across nook and corner of the country. Yeah, I think that would give you a fair idea of what I wanted to tell and what was my journey and all that.
Yes. Great, Swaroop. A good introduction where. And okay, focusing on one part where you have told that you have given solution of sales as a service to multiple organizations, and
Absolutely.
you have led that team with multiple people. So
Yes.
How do you motivate all of them or many of them towards higher professional achievement? And again, on the same topic that you've told, you have seen people struggling in sales or people not being good at it. So what are some things you did to motivate your team, your people as a whole? And ones where they're working for someone else, how does that go through?
So if I have to talk about motivating the team or how to go ahead and do the sales or anything per se, top 2-3 things that come into my head is, first things first, what happens typically, when you're working in a corporate or working under somebody, generally, or at least 50% of the cases, you're not working under a person who came from a sales background, right? And people have created this mindset that sales is nothing but sitting in a pressure cooker, right? It's always in that bubble of pressure where you get revenue, you get that, you get this. No. So that is one of the reasons why people are running away, or people don't prefer to get into sales. But then idealistically, when we are going ahead and giving any solution, typically something like solution for sales or sales as a service, one of the key things that I made my team do, or I follow religiously as an ethic or whatever you want to call it as, is lead by example. If I can do, I can teach others to do, right? Motivate them, mentor them. Sales is not going to happen overnight. It is a process. It has to be built, right? It is a process. It has to be built. It is not about getting revenue month on month. It's about building that pipeline which can give you that revenue for years to come. Again, some people might have a conflict when I say this, because at the end of the day, sales is something that has to happen on a calendar month. That's how this company sustains at the end of the day. But then you need to give the benefit of doubt for people who are working for you, because not everybody are fast learners, not everybody are slow learners. So you need to give them their pace of adjusting, give them that example of how it can be done every now and then, so they learn. So one of the key things that I keep telling my team is, there is a saying called monkey see, monkey do business. There is a very native calling, monkey see, monkey do business. So if there is a group of monkeys sitting on the tree, one of the monkeys throws an apple, just hypothetically I'm telling you, one of the monkeys throws an apple down, all the other monkeys start throwing it down, right? So you need to have those people to follow you, where you can lead by example and they catch the train. It's not difficult. It's just that you have to get into their momentum. That's about it.
Great, yeah. Do you propose that after a sales leader, the people who are under him or the people who are with him should be in the monkey see, monkey do, or they should use their own thinking and maybe throw bananas?
So what happens is, as we Indians, we grow up in a very conservative society, right? Very conservative society, and very few places or very few families give that a kind of an exposure, right? You have these kind of exposures in metros of India, but then you go to the Tier 1, Tier 2 cities and all that, you don't get that kind of an exposure, right? So to get them into the thinking mode, right? How to go ahead and solve a particular problem. Sales is nothing but solving a particular problem, right? To get into that thinking, they start copying. It's like a baby, you have your kid and then they start seeing you, what you do, and then they eventually start developing their own skill set, right? So of course, you need to teach them how to get on track, and then you have to let them free so that they develop their own tactics or talent or whatever you want to call it.
Sure, yeah. So what role has technology played to make things better? Like, what's your personal technical stack for outreach, for closure, for prospecting, everything?
Well, if we take something like about 10 years back, the social media or the digital platforms that we have access to today was not as aggressive as today, or rather there were not many acceptance with respect to the digital media, right? It has given us, I would take a little bit of example here. Typically any sales about 10, 15, 20 years back was taking the phone book out and then dialing a cold call and then trying to build a rapport, and then then you go ahead and do the sale. That is how it was. But with technology coming in and people accepting that kind of a technology, right? Today we see 60, 70, 80 plus years of people using Google Pay and Phone Pay. That is digitization. People are accepting the technology. So what happens here is the effort of a salesman becomes a little lesser. Right? So effort of a salesman becomes a little lesser because people are educated. People are getting aware of things, right? Awareness comes through different medias. It might be, your social media. It might be the TV. It might be anywhere, newspaper, anywhere, right? People are getting more aware. So that definitely helps the salespeople. So that is how technology is making a very, very good push or a support to the salesperson.
So yeah, what is your technical stack like? What are the tools which you use to?
There are multiple things. Yeah. See, when we talk about sales, let's hypothetically speaking, if we have one particular product to sell, right, or one particular solution to sell, that is where everything starts, right? You go ahead and start acquiring customers. That's your first step, acquiring customers. Now, when we are talking about acquiring customers, it means we use social media today. We use digital platforms. We use multiple other things where we get these kind of people who are already interested in that particular product, right? For example, you see a number of ads that are coming on social media, different ads. And if you go ahead and keenly observe on those ads, these are the ads which either recently you have searched, recently you wanted to buy or do something, you did a research or something, right? So there is a lot of behavioral and demographic analytics that goes behind social media that lands into getting the right people, right, for the sale. So I don't have to start doing cold calling anymore. I don't have to do any cold calls. None of them do cold calls anymore. So they already have a set of people who are interested in a particular product or a service, and then from there you take it out. So social media is typically not particularly A, B, C, anything. Overall, the social media is a very good tool for us to support the sales.
Sure. So what are some of the KPIs you track in yourself as a sales leader or among your team members? Some specific KPIs that, okay, this has to be done so much, this has to be done so much, revenue has to be hence so much. Yeah.
So when we talk about any salesperson per se, KPI is the rule book at the end of the day, right? So there is always a time where we give to the young guys or the new people, or less experienced people, to get accustomed to the company first, right? Product, company, solution, whatever we are trying to do. And then the KPI generally, if I have to tell you in a very generic sense, the KPI always has how faster, how better we can reduce the turnaround time. So when I say turnaround time, it's about starting off a pipeline of sale to the closure. So it all ponders on the same aspect with respect to KPI. When we're talking about KPI, it's all about reducing the turnaround time. So let's say we are taking about 6 months to sell a particular product or a solution to an organization. How can we reduce it to 3 months? How can it be reduced to 1 month? That is how a KPI is defined.
So mention some failures or things which you should not do if you want to be in sales, or if you are in sales.
Okay, so one of the things that I feel very important in sales career is you don't shout down the product in the customer's throat. Typically, what happens with salespeople is they tend to listen lesser and speak more. You should listen more and then speak lesser. That is when you understand your clients or customers' problem, and then your product, if that is a solution, it'll be a piece of cake to sell.
So you feel that things which you should not focus is about the product in your sales process. But generally,
Yes.
what behaviors you feel are let's say not the best fruitful things for a sales leader or a person to have?
Okay, so when you get into sales, you are always under the pressure of revenue and turnaround time and stuff like that. So what happens is, irrespective of multiple times when we train people, we tell them to go ahead and start listening first. Try and understand what is the particular problem, or what kind of a solution the customer is asking for, right? Even though it has been trained multiple period of times, a lot of people take it 50-50. They again stop listening after some time, and then they try to okay, I have this particular product, this is fantastic, this, right? So they want to tell all the USPs of that particular product, or they want to tell all the USPs or problems that it is solving in the generic area. But then that will not lead to a sale. Typically, it is a 50-50 chance, unless and until you go ahead and understand what is, let's say Mohit wants a particular thing. And just giving you an example, please don't get offended. If you, let's say, have a budget of 20,000-25,000 rupees and you want to buy a smartphone, irrespective of how good features I'm talking about iPhone, you will never buy it, right? So understanding and trying to recognize what is the solution you're looking for is the key to successful sale. And that is something that people have to go through.
Get it by experience. Like, this is something which comes more by experience.
Absolutely.
So yeah, great insights, Swaroop, on a lot of fronts. Yeah, now we'll focus on some key opinions in a short rapid fire round, and then we'll conclude with one closing question. So
Sure.
Do you prefer incentives, monetary incentives, or no monetary incentives, for apart from the what do you call, CTC? Do you prefer incentives or no monetary incentives?
Incentives are good. It keeps people motivated.
So that's one way to motivate. So do you prefer that incentive should be on revenue, which is on closure of a customer, or on effort which a person gives? So outreach, meeting people, calling people.
Okay. This is a very dicey question what you asked, but let me try and give you a concrete answer here. See, what happens is, although ethically I want to go ahead and incentivize people on the efforts they are putting, irrespective of what the result comes, but how do we evaluate efforts? We can't micromanage, right? So we can't micromanage, or rather, I don't prefer to micromanage. So incentive on revenue in a practical scenario is always better.
Right. So cold call. So what would you prefer? You are given a list of 200 people and they are from your prospective industry, but it's not well researched, or 10 or 15 well researched targeted leads, and you have to choose one among them. The advantage with 200 is, of course, you do multi-threading, you convince many people, and with 15 you just reach one people in that organization. What would you prefer?
I would always go with 10 or 15 qualified, researched kind of a lead. I would always prefer spending time with people who already have interest. It's all about conversion. If you're talking about sales, it's all about getting the revenue or conversion. Let's say, let's not talk about revenue. It's about closing the deal, right? So when so if I'm a sales executive and given a task of 200, the probability of getting a successful closure is 3%. That's 6 people. 2 to 3% is the probability. That's the global probability that goes on with a cold call. It is much lesser now because people are getting aware, so they don't entertain cold calls. But yeah, if we are speaking about probability, it is about 2 to 3%. So I might as well go ahead and choose 15 people who are slightly interested or moderately interested in a particular solution or a product, where I have a chance of going ahead and making a conversion of 50% plus, than going ahead and doing typically cold call and also demotivating myself because the 194 said no.
That's a big demotivation. On the front of demotivation, what's the best excuse we have heard from your member for not performing as per the standard? Like we hear excuses from our team members that
Yes.
Market is not good, economy is not going good, anything. What in your recent experience?
What happens, especially this COVID time, has showed us a lot of these kind of reasons, to be very honest, but then those are not long-standing reasons. Let's say if somebody says market is not good, if there are 10 people in the team and 5 are able to crack the deals and 2 are giving these kind of reasons, the market is not biased for 5, but then there is a vintage or a kind of a reason everybody gives. He said, this person, this client is fantastically, he's super aggressive, he is very interested, he will close XYZ date, and then, sir, mera phone nahi utha raha hai. I'm not able to get in touch with him. Now that is a reason, although we know that that is the reason, but you don't have an answer to. And then you don't want to get in a situation, we don't do typical cold calls. No, we don't want to get in a situation where somebody else calls and he receives and the client feels awkward and stuff like that, right? So we have to depend or bank upon the employee. If he's giving reason, try and motivate and get more prospects rather than banking on one.
So in your industry, what's a good conversion rate? If you're given 100 marketing qualified leads that they have shown interest in a product like this, what would be a good closure rate?
Well, like I said, I work with a lot of products, starting from SaaS based to CRM to software to EdTech and everything. But overall, like I said, the global standards are anywhere between 2 to 3%. But if you're talking about a good qualified marketing lead, anywhere between 8 to 18% is your good conversion.
So what do you work in? What does Swaroop or Swaroop's team achieve in terms of conversion?
So I typically work on a area where we benchmark it at least 15 to 25%. That is what we benchmark at. There are good months where it is 50 plus, there are bad months where it is 15, but overall it averages out between 15 and 25. Trying to improve on a daily basis because there is a lot to learn in the market still. There's every day there is knowledge coming from every side. So keeping yourself updated and getting on the knowledge, hooking up on it, and improving is the scope. So just because I am a owner of a company or a lead, a national head or a sales head or something, doesn't mean that I'm going to stop learning, because that will be the end of my career. If I stop learning, that is my end of the career. And we keep updating ourselves and so as to match up with the time.
And just the last question on this front, yeah. Do you like, is it better to have competition among teammates, or they should work only as a team? Like, should there be healthy competition between individual?
There should be, of course. So when you said the first question, I would have answered, see, there should be healthy competition. Since you rephrase the question, healthy competition, yes, there should be healthy competition, because at the end of the day, team members are together, working in a close circle. And when somebody is getting a success, he or she can always influence other people how he or she is getting the success. And that way the entire team performs.
Great insights. Yeah, thank you so much, Swaroop, for throwing a lot of insights on multiple domains towards sales processes. What would be one line of advice you would have given to your 10-year younger self to get better at sales today? Is the final question.
Okay. 10-year younger Swaroop, I would have told ki, don't get into dilemma. Don't apprehend things. Get into, you are good at sales, you're good at speaking and talking to people. Get into it. It is a full-time career.
Great. Thanks, Swaroop. And yeah, thank you for your time.
Thank you so